Okay, I'm going to work Part B of handout or Activity 3-3 with you. You should have that out with you. I would go through it after you listen to the notes and go through the three different ways that you can determine elasticity. Figure these out and then go back and watch this video to try and see and check your answers. So we talked about the formula and we decided that we were going to put the price on bottom. So the percent change in price is going to go on bottom because that's what's changing. That's the one we're remembering. We're going to put quantity on top. How is a change in price affecting our change in quantity demanded? So the first one talks about we have a price change in salt, and the price of salt increases by 10%. So we're going to put that 10% change in price on the bottom. We said it's going to increase. And then what we see as a result of this is a 5% decrease in our quantity demanded. You can look at that number. And so what you should have on that first line where it says elasticity of demand, you're going to put the formula so that you can evaluate and look what that is going to do. And then it says the demand for salt based on this. So we can look at that. 5/10 is less than 1. So where it says the demand for salt, you're going to put inelastic. Because if it's less than 1, it is price inelastic. Second one. It says the price of concert tickets increased by 12%. So we're going to put the 12% on the bottom. We see a 12% increase in the price of concert tickets. How does that affect our quantity demanded? It says that it's going to change by 25%. So we see a 25% change in quantity demanded because of a 12% change in price. So when we look at this, 25/12 is greater than 1, so it is sensitive to a change in price, so it is price elastic. Number 3, it says that gas prices increased by 25%. So the price changed by 25%, and it said it increased. So we know we're going to see a decrease in quantity demanded. We just don't know by how much. This says 2%. We see a 25% change in price, causes a 2% change. This is definitely less than 1. Inelastic. And then number 4, cost of CDs decreased by 20%. So we're going to see a 20% decrease in the price of the CDs, and that is going to cause a 20% increase in the quantity demanded. This is equal to 1, so it is said to be unit or unitary elastic. And then part C of this, I'm going to go ahead and put it on here also, and then I'm going to actually add 2 more to the second page. So at the bottom of that first page, part C says draw a demand curve that represents an elastic good. And we'll go ahead and look at this one and we'll kind of compare those. Remember, that's the one that's not as steep. Its slope is flatter than if it was inelastic. When you flip to number 2, it tells you to draw the demand curve of something that has an inelastic demand. So if we look at this one here, relative to the one we've already done, it's going to have a much steeper slope to it. And if we compare the change in price, we see a change of price here causes a very small change in quantity demanded, and when we change the price here by relatively the same amount, we're going to see a fairly substantial change in the quantity demanded here. And then the unit one is going to be just like that. The 2 that I want to add to this, the 2 curves, I'm going to put it on the bottom. Go ahead and put it at the bottom right under number 3 there. There are 2 more that I'm going to expect you to know. This one here is said to be perfectly inelastic. And this one here is said to be perfectly elastic. Our example for this one is going to be table salt. And we kind of looked at the characteristics in terms of the percentage of your budget table salt takes up. So if we increase the price, I'm going to buy the same amount of table salt. When I run out of salt, I go buy salt. It's 60 cents. What if we double that price? If I go in and now it's $1.20, am I no longer going to buy table salt? No. When I run out, I'm going to continue to buy it. What if we doubled that price and then doubled that price and doubled that price? Most people are hooked on salt. We want salt. We're going to buy it. And it's got to be, for the amount that we get, which is a fairly large container of that Morton salt, it's got to be a fairly substantial increase. I'm talking hundreds, if not thousands of percentage increase in price before this curve is actually going to start sloping a little bit. And so we can see, and we'll do some math over this later, over a certain range of prices you can have the demand for your product to be inelastic, and then there will come a time where it starts to become a little more sensitive to a change in price. I mean, eventually, can we price ourselves out of the salt market? Sure, but I'm not sure how high the price has to get for that. So I had a student tell me once, this is not something that I came up with, but I thought it was a great idea. When you see it like that, they just made an I to remember that that's price inelastic. This one over here is said to be perfectly elastic. What we're seeing here are things that we hopefully will get to later on in the semester, things that are called commodities. This is a product that there are hundreds and hundreds of sellers of an identical product. And we know right up the street there in Treaty, we have that big pile of corn. And the farmers in the fall will line up with their trucks, and everybody dumps their corn on that same exact pile. Well, when they get there, they pull up to the window, they weigh the corn, and the lady in the window or the man in the window tells them, this is how much money I will give you for that. If you try to negotiate a higher price, they're going to tell you no. We will take what you have. Here's the price we are willing to offer. We won't give you a penny more for it. If you ask us for a penny a bushel more, we're going to tell you to take your corn and go somewhere else. We don't want it. And as a farmer, you're obviously not going to go any lower than that particular price. When we're talking about commodities, and commodities are those things that doesn't matter who you buy it from. Gold is a commodity, corn is a commodity, wheat is a commodity, milk is a commodity. Those are things that doesn't, stocks are commodities, but well, they're not really commodities, but it doesn't matter who you buy your stock from. It's the same exact thing. So they won't give you a penny more. You'd be stupid to charge a penny less. So it is price elastic, because the moment you stray away from that one price, quantity demanded goes to zero. So same student said they just put a line up there, price elastic, formed an E, and then not price elastic, this is perfectly, and this is important. Perfectly inelastic, perfectly elastic versus something that has an elastic, inelastic, and unit demand curve. So make sure you know and can identify all of those. Make sure you can plug in the numbers. Greater than 1 is elastic, less than 1 is inelastic, equal to 1 is unit elastic.